Hello, hi, welcome back to Adventures in Music with me, Jim, where we listen to, talk about, and do all sorts of things musicy. And today, it's a very exciting day indeed because I have none other than prog rock royalty. It's Neal Morse. Hello, Neil.
Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Whatever it is.
Well, yes, indeed. It's always a bit of a mission trying to get these international interviews up and running because of time differences and sort of schedules and all that sort of stuff.
Well, sure.
Where,
And who
where
knows when the person who's watching it is going to be.
exactly? Well, so where in the world are you? Where's home? Or are you
Yeah,
at
I'm home.
home? Yeah.
Yeah, outside of Nashville, Tennessee, in the U.S., of course. And
Ah.
yeah, I live about a half hour north of Nashville. Yeah,
And what's the time now?
it's 8 a.m.
Oh man, oh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. That's well early.
Oh no, I like them early. I'm an early riser. I've been up for hours
Oh
writing
my
music.
goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, we're here today because you've got a not only a new album but a new band, Cosmic Cathedral, and the album is coming out in what was it, 25th of April, so not long now. Deep Water. Tell me about the record.
Well, well, it has exceeded my expectations in terms of how it came out in the end.
Right.
It's a very interesting thing, the whole creative process. I mean, talk about it. The name of your thing is your
Adventures
is
in
it
Music.
Adventures in Music. I mean,
Yeah.
every record is that totally. Um, you go in almost always not really knowing, even if you've got it kind of laid out in your mind, it's full of surprises, and that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Discovery,
Oh,
discovery.
yeah.
You know, it's the same like when you discover music that you love. It's the same for me when I'm writing something. Like sometimes I'll have something in my head when I'll wake up in the morning, but sometimes something just comes out of my hands, and and so there's this discovery factor, and then you bring all these other people into that,
Mm.
and you don't really, especially a new group of people that you haven't made a record with before, and there's loads of discovery, and that's one of my favorite parts of life, really. Like
Yeah.
in relationship, discovery, like discovering what another person is about, in a relationship is like the
Yeah.
best part,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
I suspect, and I know it is because I've been in bands as well. But it's that sort of creative back and forth between people, where people you are playing with will have an idea that you'd never have thought of yourself. It's like, oh, that's amazing, and it sends
Yeah.
you off in a completely different direction from where you might have been heading. Sort of had it been just down to yourself. So I love that sort of collaborative approach to writing music and
Oh yeah.
jamming and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we jammed a lot. These guys were much more jammers than most of the people that I normally work with.
Right.
Uh, that's what they seemed to want to do when we would get together. There were times when I was like, well, because I'm pretty task oriented, actually. I mean, which might surprise people, but Mike Portnoy and I are both pretty task oriented. What I mean is, like when we get together, we'll mess about a little bit, but then it's like, okay,
But you've got an end goal in sight. You know you've got to
yeah,
do
let's
X.
start with this
Yeah,
idea
yeah, yeah.
of bills, and then let's see where that goes. Let's start
Mm,
like actually tracking,
yeah.
actually doing it. With Cosmic Cathedral, it was much more like, hey, well, why don't we just jam some more? We have days of jamming, um, and that became, um, a lot of those, a lot of the pieces on the album were brought forth from bits from the jams that then pretty much I was going to say we all, but pretty much I was the one that listened to the jams and developed stuff. Jerry Guidros, actually, the engineer, co-producer,
Yeah.
he also gleaned out a lot of stuff and kind of marked in the Pro Tools session. You can put markers,
Hmm.
and so he would record the jam in Pro Tools, and then he'd put markers about what he thought was the cool parts.
Oh, right.
And he even edited some of those parts together for me to hear what his ideas were. So we did quite
Okay.
a bit of that. We did we did quite a bit of like, extracting, and then it was like, well, this is all really cool. Like in Time to Fly, it was really the verses were almost intact.
Yeah.
Like when we were jamming, like I'm endeavoring to be led by the Spirit all the time in my life. So, and with this album, of course, it was no exception.
Sure.
And so we're just jamming, and I'll feel like the Lord says, "Sing." I'm like, okay, and I don't know what I'm gonna sing. In the same way, you don't know really what you're gonna play, but you're
Yeah.
listening to what
Yeah.
they're doing, and you start playing some stuff. I've been jamming since I was, 11 years old.
Sure.
That was very much of a thing that we would do as like me and my friend group and my brothers would jam in our. That's what we did instead of playing football or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm pretty used to that, but I'm still not used to just singing. And I talked to Royna Solt recently. Royna said, "Yeah, I've stopped writing lyrics. I just sing,
And you'd have
whatever
no
comes
idea
out.
what's going to come out.
Yeah, whatever words come out." So I remember we were jamming on what became Time to Fly.
Yeah.
They were laying down this groove, and I'm not used to heavy groovers either.
Oh, there is some real grooves on this album. It's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Well,
Yeah.
like those guys have more of that, a little bit of that R&B flavor.
Yeah.
And, so they're doing this kind of groove, and Phil and I are kind of playing over it, and then sing, okay. And one of the things I think one of the first things I sang was, "I watched the stars fall over the earth." I'm like, oh, that's cool. Where's that going?
Do you know what it means at that stage?
No. No. That's the thing,
That's so funny. It's sort of ad-libbing, completely ad-libbing lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so when I went to write the actual lyrics to the song, I listened to the scratch, and if it was cool, I used it. But then maybe the next line, it's not like the whole song.
No, sure. You got little bits and pieces. So, okay, no.
Yeah.
Well, that bit didn't work with that. It doesn't rhyme, doesn't scan. But I need to write something to go with that. But that bit itself, the first bit, is fire. I want to keep that.
Yeah, and the scratch name of that song was "High on a Hill."
Oh, right.
First,
Yeah.
When we got the first chorus that we worked on, the main line was "High on a Hill," and then I think it was Chester. At that point, at that day, it was just me and Byron and Chester. And whatever I can't remember the first chorus that I had sort of come up with in the room. But Chester was like, I don't think that's strong enough. I don't feel like that. I feel like the chorus should lift. And then so we kind of kicked around, well, what about changing key? And so we established this where we wanted to go musically.
Yeah.
And then I started singing something different over that, but it was we kind of worked on it together in the room. And anyway, that was kind of how Time to Fly came about. But
yeah.
They all came about in a little different ways. There wasn't one way that this album was made. Because some of the songs are just a song, like the first song, "Heart of Life," was just something that I wrote for the project that they liked enough to do.
Yeah.
Which I was really glad. I wasn't sure for a while if they did like it enough to do.
Oh, right.
Because I think sometimes until people get in and do their thing, like the demo sounded pretty cheesy, I think. Honestly.
Did you use like a sort of drum machine and sort of little MIDI packs to sort of make the sounds?
I think I played real drums on it.
Okay.
I can play real drums on stuff faster than I can program.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, it's all about how fast can I get the. I know it's not going to be used, so it's like how fast can I get this idea down in a way that
before it disappears into the ether again. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just my own insecurity, or it just seemed like maybe they weren't into it.
Was this the
Uh,
first thing you did with them, or
no,
no?
no, I think the first thing we did was Time to Fly.
Okay, and you
Uh,
felt with that one, you felt very. It was everyone was into it and enjoying it.
yeah, yeah, that one everybody was into it and enjoying it. Wait, but I think before
Ah,
that, even we laid down the basic track that was going to become Walking in Daylight.
hmm.
Was those were like the first sort of jammy songs that we did. Um, and then I presented Heart of Life, I think sometime in July. I sent it to them. And sometimes it's just like I said about my own insecurity, and this has happened with other groups.
Yeah,
Um, I'll write something and I'll send it out, and a lot of times people just aren't real great communicators. Like some of my friends, some of my dear musician friends, they're just not real fast to respond about anything.
but sometimes
You
it
know,
takes a little while for stuff to sink in and to sort of process it and to work.
well,
I've been,
sure, and it's like I don't know how long it is. It's like
yeah,
14 minutes long. So it probably took them a while to carve out the time to even listen to it.
sure.
Meanwhile, I'm deciding, oh, I guess they don't like it. You
It's
know, maybe it isn't very good. Maybe we should not even do it.
oh
I guess,
man, Neil, you've been doing this for so long. You're and so- not. I don't mean that in a sort of disparaging way, but you must
yeah,
have some confidence and self belief in yourself after all this time. I get the self doubt because obviously you hear actors talking about it and performers going on stage. If they don't have the jitters, then they say, actually, if that doesn't happen, I know it's time to stop because I need that as part of the fire to make me do my best performance.
yeah. Well, it isn't that I didn't believe in myself as much as I thought, well, maybe that piece just isn't that great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I just began to lose a little faith in it. But then I asked them, hey, do you like that? Do you want to do it? I didn't want to you don't want to force anything.
Sure.
It was something I'd come up with. I think I was in Florida with my son, and in the mornings I had a little keyboard, and I was just kind of working on that. But I didn't think it was like the be all end all thing, But I thought there was some really good moments. I don't know. It's just kind of funny because then after we tracked it, and once Phil put his voice on it, and when it all came together, Chester called me. You know, uh, Again, he's not like a tremendous phone caller, or
Sure.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
uh, but he called me. It's kind of like Mike. If Mike calls you, it's a big thing.
Okay.
That's just how they are. Um, Chester called me to say, "Man, I was just listening to this in the car. This is killer. Wow." So I guess I want to encourage people, if you've written something and you're sort of starting to get the like, maybe it's not that good, just persevere through it. Because sometimes it's a lot better than you think it is,
I think
and it may take a little while to reach someone. If you're trying to reach someone with it
sure.
and they seem, uh, I mean, I had the same thing with The Light from Spock's Beard. I
Hmm.
mean, I worked on that demo, and my brother Al, I gave it to my brother Al, and he played on it, but he didn't really say anything about it. It was like, oh, he called me. Sometimes people, like, it takes them some weeks.
Yes.
Like 3 weeks later, he called me on vacation, like, dude, this is killer. We got to put a band together, So it's like, oh, okay.
I think different people come to music at different times. So there's something going on in their life that they're not entirely focusing exactly on what you're asking them to focus on. And so, yeah, okay, I've got that. I'll get around to listening to it. I'll listen to it. Yeah, and they listen to it sort of in a very cursory way initially, and they don't really pay attention to it. So, yeah, okay, whatever, whatever. Then actually, when they've got some, as you say, carve out a bit of time and they can properly listen to it. So, oh, yes, now they get
Yeah.
it because they've given it the time.
Yeah. Well, and music's funny that way too. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember the first time some friends, back in the day in America, in my group of friends anyway, we were so into music, what we bring albums to each other's parties,
Yeah.
and somebody brought Steely Dan, Katie Lied.
All
But
right.
I was so into prog at that time that it was a little too normal for me.
Hmm.
So so I listened to Katie. They played Katie Light at this party. And I was like, it's okay. Now Katie Light is one of my favorite records. It's
Sure.
like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
like a great but I didn't get it till later.
And it's
So
also age comes into things, isn't it? So is it when you're a young man or woman and you're sort of first listen to music, you have to listen to music. You don't have to, but people tend to listen to music that is appropriate for their tribe, or
right,
their friends around them, and they won't listen
yeah,
to music that's outside that because it's unfashionable, it's not cool, it's that's not part of my identity. Because
right,
you're striving to find out who you are, aren't you, when you're a teenager?
hmm
And I remember when I was like 12 or 13, the music I wanted to listen to was stuff like Iron Maiden and maybe Motorhead and AC/DC, whereas my sister was listening to ABBA and the Bee Gees and stuff. And actually, you come back to listen to it years later, you realise the genius of that ABBA, the songwriting on there, and the Bee
right, yeah,
Gees.
sure,
It's amazing. I mean, it's not something I want to listen to every day, but you just can't give it the give it its dues at the time because it reflects badly on yourself, doesn't it?
yeah. I call it the "my band can beat up your band" syndrome. That's
Right.
how I was that way a lot. In fact, I have this terrible confession. A bunch of my friends were going to see Genesis at the Roxy Theater in L.A. On the Selling England tour.
Oh wow.
I'd heard Selling England, and I liked it, but I didn't go because I was just so like I don't know. I don't even want to tell you what I told them. So I told them, I'm not gonna go down there, man. Those guys are just ripping off Yes.
Yeah. Oh dear.
It's like the stupidest thing ever.
Oh,
And I could have seen the classic lineup doing Selling England at the Roxy,
uh,
small little
oh
theater. Oh my
man.
God, what an idiot! Oh
Well, never mind. You've got a story to tell now, haven't you?
yeah, I think I told Peter. I met Peter Gabriel at the Prague Awards, and I might have told him that story.
Uh,
Like he cares. I
did
don't
he?
know.
Did he just sort of give you a sort of wry smile? So okay, move along, guy.
I don't remember. I was so taken with just meeting him.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really looking forward to getting the record as a sort of physical thing. I've heard it digitally. There's a lot of influences on there, a lot of different styles. So
Yeah.
as we've sort of alluded to already, there's sort of a lot of sort of soul and funk and some jazz in there.
hmm
Quite a lot of obviously sort of progressive rock, sort of traditional progressive rock. I can hear Transatlantic in there and Spock's Beard. But also, I'm trying to sort of think of the right word. I don't know what yacht rock is, but people talk about yacht rock. I'm not sure quite what that is, but I certainly noticed like Alan Parsons' project sound in there as well, which I kind of sort of think sits into there. All these your influences, or are they everybody's influences that have come into this, sort of from a musical point of view?
Well, I'm actually, I listen to a lot of what is called yacht rock.
Mm,
Like, I like to like on the XM radio and stuff. I'll listen to the yacht rock stations because I love a lot of that music,
yeah,
and it's a little more mellow. And a lot of times I'm in a kind of more mellow mood.
yeah,
Uh, I'm a big Steely Dan fan, and on and on. But yeah, it's sort of, it's that period of the '70s of the, what, I don't know, it's just more mellow R&B flavored rock, really.
really shiny sounding, isn't it? It's got such a lovely sort of sheen to it. The sound of it.
Yeah, it's cleaner
Mm,
generally, right? But yeah, no, I mean that just kind of happened because of the the way the jam sessions were going.
mm,
That's really more the kind of flavor that happened in the room. And
sure.
I was delighted because one of the things you do to one of the reasons why you get together with new people is to do fresh, new sounding stuff, at least
Yeah,
new to me or my audience.
absolutely.
And so I was really very delighted to have those things going. And, you know, Phil was playing some jazz chords that I didn't know what they were. And turns out he didn't really know what they were either.
Okay, you just invented them.
Yeah, that middle part of Time to Fly was like, cling. That was from something that Jerry had gleaned from the Phil jam sessions.
Right.
Like, cling, clang, clang, clang. It was like, ooh. His voicings were so cool too.
Yeah.
So we took that and, you know, repeated it and made a thing out of it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't intentional at all. It just happened, and we were all just very happy about it.
Excellent. Before listening to this, I knew of Chester Thompson, but I don't know Phil Byron at all. Do you know all of these guys previously, and you've brought them together, or did you all know each other anyway? That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yes, we all knew each other.
Yeah.
The only thing Byron was the big surprise to me. I worked with Phil on the one album. He sang on some of it and did some guitar solos, and I've listened to Phil's music. He's got a brilliant catalog of music. And Byron I hired him to play stand-up bass he played stand-up bass on Testimony. He has a credit for playing stand-up bass on Day for Night, and I'm racking my brain. I can't even remember that. But he must have been part of it must have been before I knew him, and I just hired some kind of string quartet to play on Day for Night, and I had already moved here, so that makes sense. But I need to ask him about it because I do not remember that session at all. But so I knew Byron. He lives in the same or really close to where I live, and his kids are great musicians that play with some of the young people that I know. And so we've traveled around, but I've never played in a session where he was playing actual bass, and we had so much fun. He's funny. You know, part of it's the hang factor, right?
Yeah.
How much, you know, you have fun together, and Byron really added so much humor and wisdom to the sessions, and hard work. And yeah, I can't say enough about how cool his bass playing is. You know, we gave him that bass solo in Deep Water, and he was working on it, did a ton of cool stuff here, but then he was like, let me take it home. And Jerry called me and was like, have you heard Byron's bass solo? I'm like, no, I haven't put it up yet. He's like, dude, you're going to like it. Yeah. He puts all those harmonies on. It's totally different than anything that's ever been on any project of mine.
Yeah.
It's this really, really unique, fretless with harmonies, and, you know, just really cool. So I'm sure everybody's going to love that. And Phil, you know, these guys are just, what can you say? I mean, not like any of the other my groups are not this, but these guys are just the real deal.
Yeah.
Like Byron and Phil brought amps to the video session, like the video recording.
Yes.
They brought little amps. Like they just want to play. Like they don't want to pretend to play. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're piping the audio in, and basically you're pretending to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope I'm not disappointing anybody, but
we're not. What? You mean that's not real?
That's not a real record, you know. But I just thought it was the coolest thing. So in between takes, they're just like doing all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't wait to play with these guys live. It's just cool, man.
And is that gonna happen? You going out on the road?
Well, we're not going on the road. We're doing so far we only have one gig at Morse Fest. Morse Fest, October 17th, and it may be live streamed actually.
Okay.
So that might be something that people could partake of because it's already sold out. It's a very small place, but anyway, yeah, we're looking at doing some other shows, and we'll see what happens, but. It's really an exciting group of guys because they're just so unique and such accomplished musicians. Really.
Yeah, and it's as we've sort of said already, it's bringing all these the four elements of the band, which have got so many different influences and ideas of their own together to make something completely new and interesting.
Yeah,
It's a real triumph. This really is.
yeah. The stuff that Chester did and brought in is just, I just think it's so, the tone of his drums and the way he plays is so musical. It's like,
Mm,
he has this jazz background
absolutely, yeah.
and very different from a lot of the people that I've worked with. That everybody has more of a rock background, but he was just, we could just play together in the room. You could almost like play a piano in the room with him and still hear yourself, which is like unbelievable. And
Yeah.
just the way he hits the drums and the stuff that he plays and the things that he brought into the project, like that. There's this figure da da dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 da
Yes.
dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da from Deep Water. That was something that Chester brought in,
Okay.
and yeah, just and the way it all fit together. I feel like the Lord really helped us to put together an album that um, doesn't feel hodgepodge. It
Mm.
feels, it feels like it's got continuity, all the things that you want an album to feel like. I feel like this
There's
album somehow miraculously it happened. It's
yeah.
amazing.
There are quite a lot of tracks on here in the second half of the album that flow into each other. So I love the bit of the vocoder on as well. So the song starts and finishes with vocoder, but you can then, as the next track starts, you can hear the vocoder just sort of fading away into that one. But I think that's really, as you're saying, how the tracks sort of flow into each other. You're making it more of a whole. It works well.
Well, yeah, the Deepwater Suite could have been. We didn't have to put ID points in it.
Mm,
It could have been a 38-minute piece. Really, is what it is.
yeah,
Uh, but I decided that we should make it maybe a little more navigatable, shall we say?
yeah,
So you can navigate in the piece. But really, Deepwater Suite is meant to be listened to as one
right.
thing.
That makes
So,
sense then.
yeah.
Um, Cosmic Cathedral is a great name for the band, and I was sort of half expecting it to be like a space rock band, so like Hawkwind or something like this. Kind of got some of those vibes to it. It's really cool. So you're releasing this through Inside Out. So it's a great label for prog. Do you keep tabs with much of their output, or do you just sort of hear bits and pieces here and there?
Oh, with the other bands that are on their
Yeah,
label?
yeah,
Well, the opportunity I get to hear the bands that are on their label the most is on Cruise to the Edge, which I just got back from.
yeah.
Like that just ended 2 days ago, and
Not jealous at all. Not jealous.
that really is the best way to hear all these bands. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really amazing, and I feel like this year the bands were all even better. Like it's really astounding. I had a chance to speak with Steve Hackett for a few minutes, and
Mm.
he's like, "Can you believe how many great musicians are on this boat?" And I'm like,
Uh,
"Actually, I can't." I mean, you go see really well-known acts, and you're like, "Oh wow, that was amazing."
yeah.
And then you'll see lesser-known ones, and you're like, "Wow, that was really
Amazing as
equally
well.
amazing." Yeah, yeah. Oh, so many. So yeah, I am aware of a lot of good music coming out.
Yeah. There's some amazing stuff there. Um, you've made a lot of albums over the years. Um, I've lost count. I got to 30 and I said, oh, I can't count anymore. I'm not sure what's going on here. So you've got obviously Spock's Beard, Transatlantic, Flying Colours, Neal Morse Band, The Resonance last year, Cosmic Cathedral now. Where do you find time and inspiration to keep coming up with uh, new, all new music all the time?
Well, it's almost like if I will feel in the same way that I can sense the Lord's pleasure in things, like when you're kind and you're generous and you feel the Lord's pleasure in that. I can also feel the Lord's displeasure if I get too involved in uh, the business end of things, or
Okay.
or what have you, like too involved with things that aren't. Uh, in February, I felt like kind of the Lord whispering to my heart, "How come you haven't sat down at the piano for a while?" Kind of thing, And so I started just doing that every morning. And so if I just sit down and start working on, there's usually something that comes that's of some kind of interest for something.
Yeah.
Maybe a singer-songwriter thing, or maybe I'll write a whole song, just a regular song, like that was how I Won't Make It happened. Was just just sitting down, and so if you're blessed as I am to have the time, you don't. This is my job.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. And so I give God all the glory that things come. Things came this morning. I'm actually working on a piano piece
I hope I
right
haven't
now.
just sort of disrupted that too much.
Oh no, that's okay. I was right towards the end of it. I have to
Right.
set an alarm. I
Ah.
set an alarm for this because I know I'll just keep writing through
Yeah,
stuff if
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't. So it's what I love to do, and God, as long as God keeps giving, I'll keep receiving.
Who you who are you excited by at the minute, outside of your own music? Is there anything that you're listening to that is particularly exciting?
Well, I was really excited by a lot of the stuff I heard on the boat.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't hear hardly anything I wasn't excited about. So that would be like the lesser known acts would be Thank You Scientist was amazing.
Okay. Yes.
Thank You Scientist, Moon Safari, Temic, Eric's group with Diego from Haken. Haken,
Oh yeah, Haken are amazing, aren't they?
killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they're not a
Not anymore.
lesser known. No, they're not lesser known. Maybe I shouldn't say that because people might be like, "What do you mean lesser known?"
But I know what you
I,
mean.
I
So
I just mean not like Steve Hackett and Rick
yeah,
Wakeman,
yeah, yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Uh, um, let's see, Beardfish was great. Uh, really, really amazing. Car Mechanic was amazing with Jonas Reingold and
Yes.
Casey McPherson was doing the vocals, and the reason why I avoid naming names is because I'm sure I'm going to leave something out
And
and
that's the
feel
problem.
bad about it
I'm
later.
not. I don't
If
mean
I
to do
left
that.
you out, I'm sorry if I left you out.
Oh dear, poor Von Hertzen brothers.
Right? Yeah, or
Yeah,
like all. I didn't
yeah.
catch Von Hertzen brothers. There's a lot of times you just
You
something
can't.
happens
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
don't get to see. I didn't get to see Riverside. I didn't. There was actually they wouldn't let me in to hack it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like for the really big acts, you have to have a wristband, and if you don't get a wristband from the manager, then if you're an artist, they won't let you in.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Oh no.
I
So
was like, I'll just stand in the back, and they said, no, I'm sorry. They were very nice, of course.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I just stood around and I listened to a little bit of Fly on a Windshield from outside,
Oh,
but
gutting.
I listened. I actually stood there for about 10 minutes and listened, and it sounded great. Nad Sylvan sounded great. And it was all
Yeah, yeah,
Hackett.
yeah.
The current Hackett band is just like the greatest ever.
If you could have been in the studio for any album in history, is there one that you'd wished you'd played on, or would love to have played on?
Played on. Oh wow! Like I would have something to add.
I don't know, or
Oh my!
or to be a fly on the wall for something.
Oh, to
Like,
be a fly on the wall,
so
sure. Oh God, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for Sergeant Pepper's or
yeah,
Lamb Lies Down or Close to the Edge or Aqualung or
yeah.
you know Tarkus. Oh my God, so many
There
Gentle
are, aren't
Giant in a Glass House or something. Wow. Yeah, wow. It would be amazing to hear how a lot of these things came
there?
together. Yeah, stay up till 3 a.m. With watching McCartney do his bass tracks on Sergeant Pepper's. I guess everybody would leave, and him and Jeff Emmerich would just stay there. The reason why the bass I think sounds so amazing on that record is because it's the last thing they recorded.
Yeah.
And it was a 4-track, so they're losing generations.
So everything else before that had been sort of bounced, hadn't it? So,
yeah. Anyway, I won't geek out on all that stuff.
Okay, you're very, very welcome to. I love it. So, in a similar way, obviously you played with Mike Portnoy a lot. Is there anybody in the world today that you'd love to play with that you've not had a chance to?
Oh yeah, tons of people. I mean, I'd love to record with, well, really any of the original Genesis guys, but I'd love to do something with Peter Gabriel. I'd love to do something with Steve Hackett. Oh wow, all my heroes, John Anderson and
yeah. So he's just done this whole new thing with the band gigs, hasn't he? Have you listened to that? Oh, wasn't that good?
Yeah, it was great. I saw them at the Ryman here in
right.
Nashville. It was amazing. Really good.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Great band. It's good. And John sounded so great. What a blessing it was, man. Yeah. It was a great concert.
Do you have a go-to album, almost like sort of a comfort food album that no matter your mood, it will cheer you up? Something you have to listen to, not have to listen to, but something if you're having a really bad day, put this record on, it will sort me out.
Well, if I'm having a really bad day, I put on Mr. Tambourine Man by William Shatner.
Oh,
because
right.
I think it is actually impossible to not laugh.
I don't think I've ever heard it.
We used to take it. I had it on CD, and we used to take it on our trips in Europe when the kids were young and we were doing ministry, because there was just a lot of times where there'd be just difficult days.
Yes.
Where you'd get stuck they'd close down the freeway and you're stuck on the freeway for 5 hours, or you're stuck in an airport and they cancel your flight. And, it was just a lot of times like that. And my son and I would look at each other and go,
It's time.
It's time for Shatner. We put in Tambourine Man because it never fails to make me laugh. The way
that is not the answer I was expecting at all.
Well, when you said having a bad day,
yeah, well, you know what I mean.
I was like, okay, yeah.
No, that's great. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, you got to check that out. I'm ready to go anywhere. I mean, he's possessed. It's so great.
Okay, well, in a similar vein then, this is my desert island question. If you're on a desert island, and assume you have power for a record player, are there 5 albums you would take with you that are the only things you can listen to until you're rescued? It might be 6 months, or it could be a couple of years.
Wow. Well, of the prog stuff, I'm pretty much like everybody else. I mean, mostly after the smoke clears, it seems to be there's, I take Close to the Edge.
Yeah.
And with Genesis, it's not as clear cut for me. Like I love so many of them. Like I really love Selling England, Foxtrot the Lamb, and Trick of the Tail a lot.
Oh yes,
I'm a big fan of Trick of the Tail. I might be. I'll just, since I have to pick, I'll pick Trick of the Tail.
Okay.
And then ELP, I would always take Tarkus. And since I'd have to take a Beatles, and so I'd probably take White Album. It's so punchy, and then I'd probably want to take something more mellow, because I like a lot of singer-songwriter mellow stuff. Like Left to My Own Devices, my wife and I are on vacation in our hotel room. We'll put on John Mayer, Born and Raised.
Okay.
So I'd take John Mayer, Born and Raised.
There you go.
Great mellow groove album.
Yeah. You didn't have to think about this too hard at all, did you?
Well, I do
Or
get
maybe,
asked from time
oh,
to time.
so is there a prepared list up here? Got it all there.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's been fantastic. So thank you so much. The album comes out, as we say, not long. I've got it written down here somewhere. 20 something of April, isn't it? 25th of April.
25th,
Yeah.
yes.
So all the luck with that. Hope it all goes really, really well.
Thank you.
And good luck with Morse Fest coming up. Have you got anything else on the radar at the minute?
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of stuff. I'm working on a musical based on the book God Smuggler, and we're doing the second act workshop in Houston the second week of May.
Hmm.
And then I'm doing a solo gig with friends May 23rd at something called Midsummer Prague in
The Utrecht.
the Netherlands. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be joined by a bunch of great people, Jonas Reingold and Eric Gillette and
Cool.
Ross Jennings, a bunch of people. And that's going to be really unique and interesting. And then I'm doing a tour, a co-headline tour in Europe with the Flower Kings and Neal Morse and the Resonance, doing with the young guys, and that's
wonderful.
in June. Yeah, and well, that's probably enough.
I'll keep you going for a month or two.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for taking some time out of your early morning to spend some time here. It's been great having a chat, and good luck with the album, and
thank you.
Maybe chat again one day.
Yeah. Oh, hey, for your listeners, there's something called Waterfall. I have my own streaming app, and you can get it. It's on the app stores, but the best way to sign up, I think, is to go to waterfallstreaming.com.
Mm-hmm.
Waterfallstreaming.com, and then on my app is like, I don't know, 170 albums or something like that, and so Cosmic Cathedral's on there, Resonance is on there, all the Spock's Beard stuff that I was on, all the Transatlantic, all the Flying Colors, all the NMB, everything's
this
on
is
there.
really cool. So this is all your stuff.
Yeah, and plus there's Neal's mystery box that has stuff that isn't available anywhere else. So just all kinds of demos and
cool.
God knows what.
So Waterfall, did you say?
Waterfallstreaming.com.
Waterfallstreaming.com.
This is where to go to get the app.
Go and get it.
Yeah, go get it.
Brilliant. And is the Cosmic Cathedral on there already?
Only what's been released, but as soon as it's released, it'll be on there.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, you heard it here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
you want to stream it on your phone, man. Streaming is so convenient, right?
It is.
I love that.
It is convenient. But I try so hard not to. I try to get physical stuff. It just feels, for me, as a better fit. But I do. Of course, I stream in the car, or if I'm out for a walk or something. Absolutely, I do.
Yeah, but, it's good to have both. Actually,
it is.
I generally have both. So.
Yeah. Good.
All right, man. Jim, nice to meet you.
Yeah, and you. Take care. Cheers.
Take care, man. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.